When I was 14 and a half, my mom banned video games. There were several reasons as to why she decided to ban them. And just a quick note, this is definitely a separate video from a couple weeks ago where I discussed why she banned zombie games specifically. When I was 14 and a half, this happened a couple of years later, she just completely banned all video games. Link down in the description if you want to check that one out. Now, about a year and a half before she put in the full video game ban, she was only allowing me to play an hour a week. Now, of course, I didn't follow that, but she would eventually end up completely banning video games. And this is why. The first reason she claimed, and I believe she still thinks this, that all video games are satanic. Just let that sink in for a second. That is just such a far out and bold claim to make. Especially when you consider there are even Christian themed video games like the Bible game, the Larry Boy game, Noah's Ark the game. There's some company that's making another Christian game. I don't remember the name of it. But like that's just such a bold claim to make. And as a Christian myself, I do believe that there are some games which a Christian should not play, but that's only like a very small, minute fraction of gaming. Like, I don't know, like 1% of all total games that exist, if even that. And she was like, nope, all video games are satanic. At that point, you may as well just call football satanic because there are football video games, there are golf video games. Are you going to say that golf is satanic? Or say something like Minecraft, where you can build a church. You can build a church on Minecraft. Are you gonna say that that's satanic? I'm not really 100% sure where she got this idea from. She was a little off her rocker, if you know what I mean. But that was one of the reasons that she banned video games. Another big reason was she claimed that gaming was my only hobby. I don't know where she got this idea from. Like, she somehow convinced herself that my only hobby, the only thing I cared about, was video games. I don't know where she got this from because I had a lot of other hobbies. There were a lot of other things I liked to do. I like to go outside and shoot my BB gun. I like to play with my cat. Uh, I liked coin collecting. I liked reading. I liked watching movies. And I liked going over to my neighbor's house and playing with his dog. He let me play with his big German Shepherd named Gracie. She was a really sweet dog. I had a lot of other hobbies. But somehow she convinced herself that my only hobby, the only thing I cared about, was video games. I don't know. Again, I just don't know how she managed to convince herself of this. She was somehow just like, your only hobby is video games. That's the only thing you care about. And I'm like, that's not even close to true. This here is where things get really interesting with the next reason. She thought that video games gave me partial seizures. Now, the reason she thought this was because some quack doctor told me that I had partial seizures. Now, to kind of set the scene here and give you an idea of the kind of person my mom was, or is, she's still alive, there was this one doctor she took me to. And he tried to convince me that I was constipated. All right, a doctor cannot tell you that you are constipated. You are the only person who knows that. He's like, son, you're constipated. I'm giving you these. Take like one a day, and here's some suppositories. Shove them up your butt every evening. And these things are like 2 inches long, an inch and a half long. I'm like, I am not shoving that up my butthole. I am not constipated. And so he goes to my mom after failing to convince me that I'm constipated, and he says, hey, your son's constipated. He needs to take these medications every day. And she believed the doctor. All right, so that's the kind of person we are dealing with. She believed a doctor who told her that her son was constipated versus her son saying, I'm not constipated. So that's the kind of person we're dealing with. So when this quack doctor told her that I had partial seizures and shouldn't be playing video games, she was like, well, my son has seizures, no more video games. And again, that's not even close to true. I play games a lot to this day, and to the best of my knowledge, I haven't had a seizure. Like, I think somebody would have noticed if I was having a seizure by now. Like, I don't have seizures. What do you want me to say? If a doctor can convince her I'm constipated, a doctor can convince her I have partial seizures. And the doctor said the difference between seizures and partial seizures was you don't know when you have a partial seizure. And I'm like, really? Really? I mean, I don't know. Maybe people do have partial seizures and just don't know it. I don't know. But I'm not epileptic. End of discussion there. Now, this following reason is the only one I think she had any real basis in for banning video games, and that was addiction. She said that I was addicted to video games. And as a admitted former addict, that's the only real point she had. I will admit that I was somewhat addicted to video games. I was addicted to them. What do you want me to say? I would get up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to start playing video games. I would like deprive myself of sleep. What else would I do? I would ignore chores, various responsibilities, my homework, etc. I was addicted to video games, but all of those four reasons combined is why, or the primary reasons why she banned video games. And she hates video games. I mean, she's told me several times she hates them. But it didn't end there. It didn't end with her banning video games. I wasn't even allowed to talk about them or think positively of them. Now at that point you're literally going into thought policing. I was not allowed to think good things about video games. I was only allowed to think video games are bad. I remember one time she went to one of her friends' houses and took me along with her. And her friend's husband asked me, "Do you like video games?" And I'm sitting here like, what do I say? What do I say? If I say no, I'll be lying. If I say yes, my mom will punish me. And I just lied and I told the guy no because I didn't want to get punished. I mean, again, my mom was kind of off her rocker. She probably would have grounded me and or spanked me if I had said, yeah, I like video games. And I remember one time, someone gave me a Game Informer magazine. And my mom said, you have to throw that away. And I said, okay, I'll throw it away when we get home. And I hid it in my closet. And she kind of just forgot it existed. And I would like go in my closet sometimes and look at it, flip through it, and read the articles. And that's just that was an interesting experience. Having to hide a Game Informer magazine from my mom. More specifically, the Dragon Ball Fighter Z issue. Where that was the main headline for that month. But her banning video games didn't stop me from playing them. Sometimes she would leave me home alone, and I would just get on her computer, pull up an incognito tab, and find some emulators for like older games like Pac-Man, Quake, some of the Metroid games, old Mario games. And I remember some of the emulators some of them just straight up wouldn't launch. I remember the one for Quake. Excuse me. I don't know if this was something with her computer or if the emulator was having an issue, but it was super laggy. It was moving at like 10 frames per second. But the Quake emulator I found was so much fun, even at 10 frames per second, where it took me a minute to move 10 feet. I was still having an absolute blast. And I do think that my mom genuinely thought she was doing something good for me. Like, I don't hold this against her because I do believe that she was trying to be a good mother. I do believe that she was trying to do the best that she could. And I understand that she was going through a lot at the time. She just had a lot of stress going on, and to make things worse, her boyfriend had just broken up with her after several years, and my sister had just moved out, so she was kind of having an empty nest syndrome to top it all off. And I'm not mad at her. And there was one positive outcome of this, in that I was able to break my video game addiction, because for a stretch of like, I don't know, 3.5 years, I wasn't really able to play anything other than sometimes when she'd leave, I would play emulators. So that was like the only real positive. So, or at least there was a positive here, in that I did break my video game addiction, and I have it under control now. I'm able to moderate it properly. But I would like to know your thoughts down in the comments. I know this was an interesting video. Here I'm on my channel, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games. And I also would like to clarify, this video was not scripted, so that's probably why I stutter a little bit. But again, just let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Always remember that Jesus loves you all very much, and I really would like to hear y'all's thoughts on this one. All right. Well, thanks again for watching. You're a real legend if you stuck around to the end. Peace out.